Hello, everyone. Welcome to the PMP exam preparation course. The topics covered here are designed in such a way that they focus mainly to help the students relate them to the questioning style of PMI. This course is not just designed for the people taking the exam for the first time, but this session can also help the candidates who are reappearing for this test. So, without much delay, let's jump into the topic. PMP exam overview. Today's session will be covered in three different sections. The first, the exam, the application, and then a few tips. In section, I'll take you through the exam updates. This will again be in two parts. First part will focus on the exam format, where we will try and understand how the exam pattern has changed from the past, what is the latest test schedule, etc. We'll have a very nice understanding of the current exam process in this part. Second part of this section will focus on different updates in the exam itself and mainly different question types that we get to see in this examination. The second section will focus on the overall application process of the PMP exam. We all know how difficult, tiring, and time-taking the application process is. So what we did, we tried to make it easier for the students by preparing a single source where all that is needed for the application is gathered at one single place. Many people try and learn it themselves, but it adds up to the time again. While filling out the application, many doubts might arise about what to fill in a particular section, or how to provide experience or hours, etc. People spend a lot of additional time to gather this information and get these things clarified. So we try to clarify most of the common doubts for the students in this section. We'll learn about the application process in four parts. The section will start with the process of creating the PMI website, creating an account in the PMI website, and providing basic information. And then we'll learn about how to put our academics, and then the contact hours, and then the experience. And one key thing to remember here is that if we decided to start the application process, you must first gather the 35 contact hours that are required for the application. Without this, we cannot submit the application. You have to keep that in mind. The experience part, as every student in this class come from a different background, I encourage you all to start customizing this explanation in relation to your own experiences. One of the difficult areas in the application could be the knowledge-based description section. The application will ask you to write about the experience with within 200 to 500 words. So we'll understand how to describe it better there, with an example. And something important for the students to note here is that we have included the examples in this section only to better the understanding of the students. Finally, the most important topic is going to be the audit. The PMI will audit some random applications to verify whether the information provided by you is genuine and authentic. The classes that are, at least 1 in 10 applications, they usually get audited here. So we have to be really prepared for this audit section. And what happens in this audit is that they will verify the contact hours, they will verify the ID proofs to check whether the personal information that you gave is right or not. They'll verify the college degree. So basically, everything is going to be audited if in case your application is selected for audit. So, and we will usually get notification from PMI through an email right after the submission of the application. Usually we'll receive this audit notice within a couple of hours after we submit the application. So we'll learn about all this stuff in this audit section. Lastly, we will end class with a few tips that could help you with this exam. And there are a few generic tips that we have gathered from the experience of many different students, FAQs and all. And there is no hard and fast rule that we should follow these tips. Just keep them in the back of your mind. If it helps, try to implement them. So let's quickly go and jump into the class examination. Let's understand first what are the latest updates in the current version of PMP exam. Duration. The total test time in the latest PMP test format is going to be 230 minutes, right? With 2 10-minute breaks. So it's close to a little shorter than 4 hours. Before January 2021, it was a 4-hour test, right? So 10 minutes it was higher and it had no breaks. Now, starting from last year, the test duration is reduced by 10 minutes. And this is not something to worry about because in addition to the time, the total number of questions have also been reduced by 20. So it's 230 minutes and there were 200 questions earlier and now we only have 180. Breaks. Whether you are writing the exam at the exam center or at home using online proctor facility, you will have an optional 2-time 10 minutes break. These 10 minutes breaks are totally excluding your examination time of 230 minutes. So you'll have 230 plus 10 plus 10. So you'll have 250 minutes of total duration for the exam. So when can these breaks be taken? The first break prompt will appear on your screen once you are done with the 60th question, right? And it's totally up to you whether you can take this break or not, or if you don't accept this first break, the question keep popping up. If you continue writing the test until 120th question, you'll get another pop-up for the second time for a 10-minute break again. Again, you can choose to take this break or you can continue to writing. It's totally up to you. If you don't choose it, your exam will be closed in total 230 minutes. If you choose it, it might go up to 250 minutes. So it's totally our choice. There is no compulsion here. But I would strongly recommend you all to just go for these breaks because it will help you freshen up yourselves and then start with a nice reboost. If you are taking the break at home, the process is again almost the same, but there is a slight advantage or disadvantage, if you want to call it, is that you can also take this break a little over 10 minutes, let's say 12 minutes or 13 minutes. If you are a bit late, it doesn't invalidate your test further. But the problem here is that it consumes your time from the exam allotted time. So we have to be a bit careful there. So bottom line, first break at 60, second break at number 120. Questions. There are going to be 180 questions, as I mentioned earlier. There were actually 200 in the previous version of the exam. So although 10 minutes shorter now, students have 20 questions less to answer. For the level of questions that we get at that and the time that we need to think for these answers, this time is more than sufficient. 180 questions, 230 minutes. Many people clear this off within like 3.5 hours. It's a quite decent time slot. So don't worry about it. One thing to note here, all these 180 questions are not considered for scoring. Yes, 5 questions are sprinkled all over the test, which are never considered for scoring. I know it's quite unusual thing to have, but PMI has done it to actually help the students get rid of this unfair disadvantage. Like suppose a question is very, very hard. No one who took the test has answered it. So what happens is PMI will not consider it for scoring. Similarly, consider the easier ones. If a question is so easy that everybody has answered it correctly and very quickly, like, within 5-10 seconds. So the PMI will also disregard such questions. So many such rules are there to not consider 5 such questions for scoring. We will not find these rules anywhere in written. So don't try to apply them. We cannot identify these questions in the exam also, right? So these 5 questions are, they are not found in a single sequence or they are not placed in one particular order. They are not at the beginning of the test or they are not in the end of the test. They could be anywhere in the exam. So they are basically like just any other questions. So don't worry about finding them. And I keep repeating this, do not skip writing any of the 180 questions. So we should answer all 180, but just keep in mind that we will be scored out of 175.